Hi, this is Miss Malamed, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about some chapters that are coming up before you read them with your students because they do involve some more difficult issues. Chapter 12, The Pigeon, actually introduces the reader to a true historical phenomenon, passenger pigeons. Passenger pigeons in the early 1800s may have been one of the most numerous birds in the world, with an estimated population of at least 3 million birds. In fact, just as in this chapter, Audubon in his journals described a mile-wide flock of migrating pigeons that passed over his head and blocked the sun for 3 days. The birds flew at an estimated speed of about 60 miles per hour, and just as described in this chapter, men in the 1800s took the opportunity to shoot many of these birds for food and for sport. It is clear that in those days, few people were thinking about conservation and only saw the great number of these birds, and there were no laws restricting their shooting. By the 1900s, none had survived and in the wild, and today the passenger pigeon is extinct. However, scientists are not sure if the reason for the extinction was the massive amounts that were killed or other issues with habitat and food that the bird needed, and that may have contributed as well. In chapter 13 and 14, The River and a Close One, Joseph is helping John Audubon on the river with Celeste in his pocket. Although initially Celeste is thrilled with the boat ride, the trees, the birds, and the plant life, she soon realizes that the men are shooting the birds so that Audubon can paint them. The truth is that John Audubon did use these methods to create his amazing catalog, The Birds of America. This book was printed between 1827 and 1838 and contains 435 life-size watercolors of North American birds, all reproduced from hand-engraved plates, including that were done by John Audubon. Today, it is still considered to be the perfect example of wildlife illustration. Although his methods were harsh and somewhat shocking today, he lived at a time before many people worried about how he treated wildlife, and historians agree that his results were amazing. Without a camera, he was able to paint with incredible detail and spent years crisscrossing America observing, capturing, and drawing bird species. As a reader, we can notice, however, that the author, Henry Cole, obviously disapproved of Audubon's methods, and he has his characters, Joseph and Celeste, rightfully saddened as they watched from the sidelines. Also on this trip, Joseph is grazed by a shot meant for a bird. He is fine in the end, but it is a good lesson in how dangerous shooting wildlife can be, even though through the situation, we also learn how compassionate Celeste is and how much she cares for her friend. So knowing a little bit of the history and an advance notice of what's happening, we hope you will feel free to share some of this with your student or all of it, depending on the age and how you feel their reaction would be, or if you need to edit. In the end, we believe the story and the messages will be worth these more difficult topics. Thanks. Hi, one more thing. Please take the time to access the tab on the LMC site, Nest for Celeste, that says John Audubon, and that has some explanations about him, his life, and his work, and a video that shows some digitized versions of his beautiful Birds of America.